Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Black Sheep Podcast. I'm your host, Toshiba Smallwood. I have my guest here, Miss Chrissy. I am here to talk about being a black sheep today, guys. First and foremost, if you haven't had an opportunity to like or subscribe on our YouTube, please come to our YouTube. It is Black Sheep at Black Sheep. If you get an opportunity to click the link in our bio, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Snapchat, TikTok, IG, all the social media outlets. Okay, guys. Our at name is Black Sheep. That is BLVCK SHE3P. We would love to hear from you guys. Leave us a comment below, guys. Talk to us. Let's get some conversation started. Let's live out loud. Let's talk. Let's walk in our truth. We thank you for an opportunity to listen in. You want to be on our podcast, DM us. Reach out. We would love to hear from you. If you or someone you know that identify as a black sheep, hit us up. We'd love to have you. Hey. How's it going, Chrissy? It has been a while. It's good to see you.
Long time.
Yeah?
How long?
It's been a minute, but I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to see you doing good.
I feel good.
You feel good?
Yeah.
Well, that's good, man. I'm glad you reached out. I'm super excited that you wanted to come out here and share your truth on Black Sheep, just to talk about the things that you've been through and why you identify as a black sheep. It is an honor to share your truth on our platform. So we look forward to just having you here and getting the story out and maybe helping us create this safe place that we all talk about. The things that we're silent about are the things we want to talk about, right?
Right.
So let's get into it. Let's go. So tell me this. What is an experience for you that made you feel like you need to be silent?
There's been a lot of trauma situations in my life that I can't narrow it down to one per se. My disease actually kept me silent for a long time. Religious situations kept me silent for a long time. And some domestic violence issues kept me quiet for a very long time. About 30 years. So.
Yeah. And I know that's tough. I know that's hard to deal with. So how do you deal with your silence?
I kept quiet, and that was the problem. I kept quiet. I didn't speak. I thought people would look at me different. And now it's not that way. It's not that way.
So do you think that's why you decided to stay quiet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because people look at you different when you have situations. People judge first. They look at me and see this extremely tall Amazonic-like woman and think, how could this happen to her? And it can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
But it's no longer time to be silent.
Yeah.
I'm tired of being quiet.
Why do you think silence hurt people?
Emotionally? Mentally? You keep a lot of stuff built up too long, and you explode on the wrong people. I did that. I exploded on family. Yeah. I exploded on friends, close loved ones. My kids have experienced my being silent and not speaking out and not telling my whole truth. They've experienced that part of me, that the anxiety, the depression, and it's not fair for anybody on the outside looking in.
I can definitely identify with some of that kind of stuff. So tell me this. Have there ever been a time where when your silence was just too loud in your head?
Yes.
What do you do? How have you been able to cope with that?
Cry. And that's the honest to God truth, is cry. It's not that I'm not an emotional person, but being silent for so long, you learn to acclimate to that silence. You learn to kind of make that part of your lifestyle. So with doing that, that was my only out. That was my only out, is to sit in silence and cry.
Yeah.
That was my only bust free. So.
Yeah. I know sometimes that we kind of felt like, sometimes we feel like we find someone that we can confined in, and then we turn around, we figure out real quick that our when we decide to confine in them, it just falls on deaf ears. Have you ever had opportunity, or have you ever had an experience like that where you confided in someone and they either didn't offer any help or nothing?
Multiple times. Or they use it against you. Later on. They use it against you. They pretend to be sympathetic, but are not. They're using ammunition against you later on. I've had that happen multiple times. I keep people at a distance now because of it.
Yeah.
Because with my Guillain-Barré, it's gone on deaf ears. So people don't realize that looking at me, she's not sick.
Yeah.
She's not sick. But they don't realize that this disease has a lot of things that comes with it. So I automatically get the judgment. And then when you start talking about it, they think you want sympathy. Yeah. I don't want sympathy. I don't want I'm sorry's and all that. I just want you to know if you see me acting like this is why. Yeah. So
you reached out to us. You want to be on Black Sheep Podcast. And like I said, we're definitely excited. And we were grateful for you to share your experiences on this platform for us. Tell me this. How important it is for you now today to live out loud and live in your truth?
I look at my kids, and my kids are 6 and 2.
Adorable, by the way. Adorable.
Says you. They're cute to look at. But I look at my kids, and I want them to know that mommy did the best that she could with what she had, that mommy was strong. Regardless of the situation, regardless of what I had to go through, that I didn't give up on them. I didn't give up on myself. When I looked at my 2-year, well, he was 2 at the time, when I started realizing that I needed to be loud. Yeah. He's now 6, but when I looked at him and realized that he's seeing me as a weak individual, what is this going to look like later? That's when I finally was just, I can't do this anymore. Yeah. That's not me. That's not who I am. Yeah. So, yeah.
So tell me this, have you found an opportunity, or have you found bonuses about living out loud now and walking in your truth? Have you found that being a bonus now in your life?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So people here, so where I currently live at Thousand Trails, it's, I wouldn't say they're empathetic. I wouldn't say they're sympathetic, but I would say that they understand because they know my story, because they know some of my truths. And now I haven't gotten to the point where I've told them all of my truths, which, you know, they'll get the links to all this afterwards. But you know that.
Make sure you follow us.
A lot of them here have the same problems. No joke. Okay. A lot of them here are here to get away, to run, not to run, but to find something better. And that's what I did. So being here, it's more of like a community of people who understand you better. So yeah, me being able to speak out about everything that I had gone through, it has shown that all those years that I was silent, I didn't have to be. I didn't have to be quiet. I was more like forced to be quiet. Right. So,
and that's why here at Black Sheep, we know that it's very important to create a safe place. Just a safe place where people can come and share and not feel judged and not feel like they have to run and hide under a rock. You know, it's very important that we create this platform for like-minded people. Right. So for that's what it is for us here at Black Sheep. How important is that for you to have a safe place to pour your feelings out, have someone you can call, you can cry with and everything?
Man, that's probably one of the most important things. Right. Because, you know, you have mom, dad, you know, people who might understand your trials and tribulations, but they're not going to be here forever. Yeah. When I first got sick, I felt like I was alone. Nobody else has this disease. Nobody else has gone through the things that I went through with the religious part of it. So I felt like I was struggling alone. Yeah. And to know that since I have been loud, there are many other people who are struggling with the same things that I'm struggling with. If I'd have just screamed to the mountaintops before, oh my goodness, I could have had so much support.
Right.
So much support.
So again, so this is why it's so important that we don't stay silent, because we don't realize how important it is to live out loud. More importantly, we don't realize the help that we do have. Right. We don't realize how many people are actually willing to support us, right? Or be a part of our journey, to be there when we need someone to help us cry, for whatever reason, whatever we need. So would you consider yourself as a black sheep?
Absolutely.
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 And guess what, guys? There's nothing wrong with being a black sheep. And the more we embrace who we are and being willing to live out loud, that's exactly what we want to do. So get into some of your experiences. Could you tell me some personal experiences that you dealt with when it comes to your depression and your anxiety?
So when I first started getting and realizing that I had severe anxiety and severe depression and PTSD, I locked myself in my room.
Oh, wow.
I kept myself sequestered away from people. I didn't talk to anybody on the phone. I didn't play with my kids. I didn't, it was numbing. It was numbing to the point where I didn't even recognize myself. And I started to realize where I was in that frame of it. I needed to get out. But it took almost 4 years. It wasn't a quick fix because it didn't happen quickly. It didn't unhappen quickly.
Yeah.
So I knew it was going to be a struggle for me. Coming from an 18-year marriage with somebody who kept me in a religious situation that for some fixes others and not me.
Yeah.
And then the domestic violence before that. So I noticed I was getting into this shell, and I was falling further into it.
Yeah.
And so when the depression and the anxiety and the PTSD started happening with the aftermath of my Guillain-Barré, it really shook something in me.
Yeah.
It shook something so hard that I didn't realize how bad it was.
Yeah.
Until I woke up from that coma and something in me snapped.
You know, and I actually remember when you went kind of ghost. That's what I would call it.
Yeah.
I didn't hear from you, and I didn't even realize that you was actually struggling with this.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting, you know, when we create relationships with people and you kind of know how they are on the regular when you communicate with them, and you kind of know how to receive them on their day-to-day. And so I remember when I didn't hear from you for a while, but I just kind of I just thought maybe you just needed your time.
Yeah.
Could you tell us how much of a struggle it was from a depression level dealing with your Guillain-Barré?
That's a hard one because that's when the depression really kicked in at its highest, because when you're told you may never walk again, because of how bad it was, when you're told that your life won't be the same, you'll never be able to play with your children, you'll never be able to run. Some people recover, some people don't. Depends on the person. This is what you're being told. And what should have taken me 3 to 4 years to recover, to learn how to walk again, took me 3 months. Now that's
glory.
That's a good
glory.
But that was to get back to my son. I was bound and determined to get back to him. But then when I got home, I realized that's when the depression started. Realizing that I was home with a cane and a walker, and I still couldn't go out and play with my kid.
Yeah.
I couldn't do things with him. I get out of breath. So everything started happening to where it was like a windfall.
Yeah.
So it was like this thing where it just kind of hit me like a deck of cards that all fell at the same time.
Yeah.
And that's when I started locking myself up. And that's when I started, even though it was such a good 3 months where I learned how to take the steps again, and I learned how to breathe on my own, and I learned how to eat again, and I learned how to feed myself. And because you're essentially like a newborn baby when you wake up from this. And, but it wasn't, it was a long road, and I'm still in recovery, still to this day.
So. Thank you for explaining it. I think people need to know, because it's quite a few people out here that's dealing with this. I actually had a friend who dealt with the same thing out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I remember the impact it had for her family and just friends, you know, and everybody just coming together, praying for her, making sure she's okay. I remember praying for you right in the hospital, right? Just having a conversation with you like, listen, you're going to overcome this.
Yeah.
God got you. Keep going. So I'm just so happy that you decided to keep going. Is there anything that you would suggest to anyone who is just struggling with depression or anxiety, let alone your syndrome that you were dealing with?
Don't listen to outside people. You recover at your own pace. Don't give up. There were many times where I thought about giving up because things weren't moving at the pace that I wanted them to, because you knew me before.
Yeah.
I was a go-getter. I was constantly on my feet. I was running. I was constantly I was lifting kegs when I met you. So I couldn't even pick up a 2-liter bottle right now. But not giving up is the biggest thing. And if there are people out there who are willing to support you, let them help.
Yeah.
Because you don't know when you're absolutely going to need that person. I pushed a lot of people away in the beginning because I said, I can do this by myself. I'm independent. I got this. I'm strong. And then, like I said, the depression hit, and then I'd already pushed some people away. Yeah. And then where were they? You know, you talked about earlier, you got those people. I had a lot of friends before I got sick.
Yeah.
Those friends disappeared when I got sick, and it wasn't so much the me pushing them away part. It was I think they were scared to deal with my disease, and so they pushed themselves away. So the people that I really needed weren't there anymore. Yeah. And I made them feel bad for it. I was, you know me, I was calling them out on Facebook. Don't pretend to be my friend now. Where were you when I was dead? But just let the help come, because to this day, I still need, my mom's 71 and I still need her. Yeah. Guillain-Barré is not a joke. A lot of people don't realize that with this disease comes residual. I no longer have the feeling in the bottom of my feet. I feel like glass when I walk. And so I take a lot of medication. I can't walk backwards. I can't walk sideways. I will fall on my feet. I have bilateral foot drops, so my feet drag. Oh, wow. If I get too excited, I had a trach. And because of that trach, I have scar tissue. Yeah. So I breathe a little different sometimes. Yeah. My voice is off. I still feel like there's nerves trying to connect in my face. So that gets very painful sometimes. The weather, in my hands, all of a sudden my hand will jerk and I'll drop stuff. My muscles and my nerves don't work right together. So it's just one of those things. If somebody's willing to help you, please let them help. Yeah. Because that was the biggest mistake I made in the beginning. And now I've got a huge support system. Yeah. That surrounds me, and hence why I moved away from Red Oak. Yeah. And moved out here to Bridgeport, because I got a support system. I didn't have anything out there. It was me and the kids. Yeah. And if anything happens to me, the kids don't know what to do. Right. So.
Well, by God, you're just a walking testimony, and I'm just so grateful for that. And people, that's why it's really important that we educate ourselves when we don't understand what someone is going through, right? Before we decide to cut a blind eye to something that we're uneducated about, let's get educated about it. Before we turn a blind eye to what we see someone's going through because we don't want to insert ourselves because we feel like it's none of our business, it is very important that we get active. Yeah. We stay proactive. Absolutely. We support. We encourage. We uplift. Because at the end of the day, in this world, we all need one another. And so we need to learn how to support one another instead of frown upon one another. And so one of the things that you did talk to us about also is that domestic violence was a big thing in your life, in your 18 years of marriage. I do remember meeting you in some of that and being angry. And if you know anything about me, if I'm your friend, I will defend to the end, okay? Yeah. So you call me anytime, I'm going to pull up, okay? Yeah. I'm that friend. I'm not the friend that's going to run out on you either, right? But I'll wait on you. I'll wait on you until you're ready, right? But we need to bust a move. Hey,
she'll be there.
I got you. So domestic violence was a big thing in your life for quite some time. So can you tell us more about that experience first, and then I want to know how you got through it.
So even before the one that you met, the 18-year marriage, I was married before. And he was very much, he did a lot of thinking with his fists and a lot of speaking with his fists. And even before that one, there was one. And they say you stay repetitious to what you're used to. And so when I was young, I got with somebody who was very violent, very, very violent.
Yeah.
I moved away from Chicago to get away from him, moved out here to Texas in 1997 in December. And he followed me.
Okay.
So he's now in another state, I guess. I don't know. That so much so that he actually caught a case here. And because I was his only family, it made no sense.
He needs your help.
No. What they did was they told him he couldn't leave the state. He had to stay with me. This is Dallas.
Talking about the system failure. Goodness.
Yeah. So we ended up separating, but not, he was still in his same house. It was an interesting situation. We weren't married. Then I met my first ex-husband. It sounds so bad, doesn't it? He was pretty. That's about it.
He was sexy.
Yes.
Sexy.
So he had all the looks. He had all the charm until I moved in with him. And then that's when it started. The broken cheekbone, the chunk taken out of my ear. I had 4 broken ribs, Jesus. 2 broken legs. Most of the teeth that are gone in the back of my mouth are from him.
Wow.
That was very hard to leave. I actually lost my faith during that time because I kept asking for a way out. And every time he'd come home, he'd beat me again. Jesus. And it was every day to the point where we were fighting in the front yard. And then that's how I met my current ex-husband.
Oh, my Lord.
He used to watch me and my ex-husband fight in the front yard. He found out where I worked. And I had a black eye, and this is broken, so I have a crack in my cheekbone.
Really?
And,
I didn't even know that.
So I had a patch over my eye, and he came in and said, you're too pretty to be with somebody like him, or some goofy line. And I fell for it. I was 23, and that part of the domestic violence was more mental. So he saw somebody who was being physically abused, and he used that to his benefit. Now I'm with a narcissist for 18 years.
Jeez.
Who made me feel less than nothing, who made me feel like I was nobody, who, it was horrible. Yeah. It was horrible. And I remember many times calling you. Yeah. Crying.
Man.
Mad.
I remember those calls.
I need to leave. I don't know how to get out.
I'm like, you want to bust a move? Hey, I come pull up.
I was ready. But I thought it was safer because he wasn't hitting me. Little did I know that that's the worst. Yeah. Because it's harder to get away from the mental abuse than it is the physical abuse. It's like a prison. Yeah. And it's still been hard. It was 18 years of mind control, and it's still been a little hard. It's only been 3 years. Yeah. But it's still been a little hard for me to kind of get acclimated to everything, and his religious beliefs have me questioning a lot of religion. So So the domestic violence went from one extreme to another. So I mean, but it's a lot. I mean, believe me now, I'm not afraid of anybody trying to swing at me.
Got that thick skin.
That I got covered. Yeah. But the mental part of it, I do keep kind of at a distance with men, period, now. Yeah. Because I just want to focus on my kids. Yeah. I don't want men coming into my life and making the broken promises that have always been made, and my kids seeing that. Yeah. I'm done.
You know, I grew up in a broken home as well. I grew up with my mother's husband beating her a lot.
Yeah.
Beating her for his faults, beating her for her mistakes.
Yeah.
Beating her because he wanted me. Just beating her, period. You know, and what I can definitely sympathize with the mental abuse as well, because still right now today, my mom does not feel like she can break that chain.
Really?
She doesn't. And so it's very hurtful as a daughter, being her only daughter, being someone who saw the beat downs, being someone who saw all the negative aspects of domestic violence.
Yeah.
You know, my mother being bloody to a pulp sometimes. I've seen her even be on the defense of fighting the mother of his children, and then after having that fight, going back and getting beat down by her husband because she overstepped the boundary, what he considered a boundary. And so, not personally being a person who go through the domestic violence, but from a mental aspect, that has really damaged me growing up. It is, and it really made me feel, it made me very aggressive person. Yeah. You know, it built my wall up. Seeing that, I knew what now I wanted. I knew what I didn't want. I knew that quickly. Yeah. And I knew what I wasn't going to stand for and what I wasn't going to allow nobody to do to me. So, you know, and it really sucked because my mom never really reached out to other people. Yeah. Or tried to get no help. I never really, and so for me in my mind, I was thinking, do you really like this? Is that what you really want? You're used to it. However, there are people like yourself who has reached out to me, and I'm like, what do you need me to do? Right? Yeah. What would you suggest to outsiders? How can they help somebody going through domestic violence?
Just listen.
Yeah.
The problem that most people make is say, hey, come on, let's go. I'm going to take you. Let's go. Yeah. Somebody who's getting abused physically is in fear for their life. So they are automatically have this fight or flight, but the flight is not there. The flight's not there. They're going to fight. No, no, let me stay because he's going to find me and he's going to hurt me or my kids.
Or someone else.
Listen, offer slowly offer assistance in another way. Like, let's not hurry up and get out of here. Pack your stuff. Let's go. I got a hiding place for you. That doesn't work. Yeah. Because mentally that person is already in the belief that that person is already looking for them. Yeah. And then so you've already kind of damaged that person up here more because now they're living in fear. Yeah. And so you have to make it a slow process. I take that back. I did. My mom, when my first ex-husband, she got tired of me calling and saying, hey, come help me, come get me, come do this, come do that. When he literally tried to kill me, which is what happened, he put a pillow over my face and beat me, tried to suffocate me because I wouldn't give him the keys to my car. He found the keys. They pulled the pillow off my face. It was bloody. I called her. And she was down the street at her job. And I said, can you please come get me? He left with my car. She goes, I am not helping you anymore until you promise to leave. Wow. And that day I pressed charges on him. Because I realized if I lost my mom over this, the one person who had my back when I was even doing her dirty in Chicago, the one person who had my back, that I've lost everything. But it took her doing that instead of enabling the bad behavior, coming to get me and letting me go back to him every 5 minutes. She would slowly talk to me and say, hey, listen, we love you. Yeah. You don't have to put up with this. What do you need from me? Yeah. She didn't say, okay, come on, let's go. But it was that last time that she said, I cannot continue to help you if you're not willing to help yourself.
Yes, that's important.
You're going to keep running back to him. I cannot sit here and watch my daughter die by the hands of somebody else. And she said, I will walk away. Yeah. And when she said that to me, that was my door open. That was I'm able to leave now.
That was what made you leave.
Yeah, that snapped me out of that one. It took a longer time for the other one.
And you know, sometimes depending on how long we've been in a domestic violence situation, it could be just that much longer for us to get out.
Yeah.
You know, so having a good understanding about what's going on, how we can support as friends, because I didn't know that at that time, me ready to pull up, because I wasn't scared of them, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You might know me, y'all know I ain't scared, okay? I wasn't scared of them. So for me, all I knew was like, let's just get you out of there.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't realize that I wasn't helping you at all, right? And so being in such an aggressive situation, not realizing that a gentle approach is important.
Yes, absolutely.
It's very important.
Absolutely.
So my apologies, and I've never knew that until now. So I owe you a public apology, but you know I love you.
I know, I love you too. Why we still friends after all these years?
Absolutely. So I remember going through that journey with you as well, and you know, with him being a Jehovah's Witness at the time. Where are you in your religious beliefs? Are you a believer? Do you have a belief in a higher power?
Okay. So I do have a belief in a higher power. I am struggling with religion. I'm not going to lie. Because I have been kind of faced in different directions. So before I met my first ex-husband, who was a Baptist, went to church every Sunday, but came home and beat me every day.
Oh, wow.
I was a theocratic minister, which means I studied all religions. I studied the Satanic Bible. Yes, I did. You can't fight what you don't know, right?
Okay.
So I read the book. I threw it away because it was stupid. But it was absolutely ridiculous. But at least I knew what I was up against, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I studied all religions. I read part of the Quran. So when I got into, Jehovah's Witnesses, I was open-minded to it. Sorry. I was open-minded to it because I had never studied it.
Okay.
So before my current ex-husband, for the 18-year marriage, I had never studied Jehovah's Witness. And he wasn't studying either. Matter of fact, he was smoking weed, smoking cigarettes. He had 3 other girlfriends on top of a wife.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
interesting.
He was married when I met him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he didn't want to get into the Jehovah's Witness part of it until a couple of years after we met and were together. And then he asked me to marry him. And
wait, wasn't he already married?
No, he had gotten divorced now.
Oh, okay.
By that time, yes.
What did I do that at? What state that is?
She got smart and divorced him. Red flag.
Right.
But so I accepted it. I embraced it, and I had too many questions for them. So the questions kind of steered them away from me, but still wanted to kind of keep me close.
Yeah.
Because I didn't understand the 144,000. I didn't understand why you do this or why you do that. And when I started asking those questions during Bible study or during book study, say Bible study.
Yeah.
Okay. And they don't go to church, they go to the Kingdom Hall. Mm-hmm. And so when I started asking these questions, it became more of like I was a burden. They would switch people to come have book study with me. And it was very interesting that every time I would kind of ruffle the feathers, I'd get a new person, we'd get a new couple to study with. So I don't know if they just felt uncomfortable with trying to explain to me, or they didn't know how to answer the question. Right. So I am struggling still. I do not believe in anything the Jehovah's Witnesses say. I am fully against. I do not want my kids raised in that belief and those beliefs. I saw what it did to me, to my mind, it shook me. It made me somebody I wasn't. I was supposed to be this submissive wife to somebody who was cheating on me, doing drugs.
Wow.
But proclaimed Jehovah's Witness. And so he had the wool pulled over their eyes for a while, and it wasn't until the nail in the coffin was when I got sick, and they wanted to give me IVIG treatment, which is one of the things that help people with Guillain-Barré. It's a blood recycler, and it's like life support. Mm-hmm. And he told them, no, there's nothing you can do for her. We're Jehovah's Witnesses, and we don't believe in blood transfusion.
Oh, wow.
I've never been baptized a Jehovah's Witness. And my mom came to the forefront and said, no. So when I found out that he would have rather pulled the plug on me than help me and save me, and wanted to use a religion as, wait, can you not do that? Yeah, can you? Oh, you can. He can't hear you. Oh, okay, good. I thought it could because she's like, so that part of the Jehovah's Witnesses, when that happened, it just made me, something clicked and said, this is not what I want to be in. This is not what I want to do. Right. How could he let me go instead of fight for me? What husband does that? Right. 18 years you're throwing away over a religious belief that you're not even baptized. So that's kind of what happened with that.
So it sounds like the practice of Jehovah Witness came with significant challenges.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And again, I'm not here to encourage either religion. I have my own beliefs. Yes. I'm not here to put down any other religion either.
Right.
But for me, in my walk in healing, I've always encouraged, my beliefs and therapy as a tool for me for healing and to just overcome my obstacles, the things that I was dealing with inside my own head and things of that nature. So I understand how, because I remember when I was walking into Christ and trying to figure out who God was for me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I kind of get that concept of, not believing so much, and but I'm glad that you have a higher power that you do believe.
Yes.
So that's really good for me. Could you provide some tips to some of our listeners to help them or encourage them in finding a belief system?
Study. Research. Please, because if I would have researched what my ex-husband was trying to get me into, I probably would have never embraced it as much. Me personally, after being so long with that religion, I honestly 100% believe it's a cult. I'm not going to lie.
Well, we're not here to bash anybody's religion. I'm not. You know what I mean?
No, I'm not. But at the same time, that's my personal belief. Yeah. Because I have lived there's another lady here who got out of it. And we have a lot of stories, similar, not so much with the domestic violence or anything, but along with the religion.
Yeah.
And I would just say research, because if I had researched ahead of time, I would have known that this was not right for me. Right. It was not on the right path. It was going to take me down a dark way. Yeah. And it did. It literally did take me down a path that made me question my religion. Mm-hmm. It made me, to this day, I still have issues with religion, like organized religion per se. Yeah. I believe that spiritually that there's something. Yeah. But as far as organized religion, I'm very, very up in the air about it. So research everything. Just look into it before you do it. Don't go off of what somebody says. Don't go off of somebody trying to push you to go to church.
Educate yourself.
Educate yourself 100%, because and that's what I was doing before I met him, and I stopped and I was like, oh, let me do it now.
So outside of educating yourself on your own personal beliefs, what are some other helpful tools that you can suggest for someone dealing with anxiety, depression, or even if they have the Guillain-Barré disease? What are some helpful tools that you can educate us on that you can encourage our listeners going forward?
Meditate. Meditate. And here's why I say that. If you can't yourself come to grips with what you have, anxiety, depression, an illness, if you can't accept it, how do you expect anybody else to accept it? Accept your challenges. Educate yourself on your challenges. I educated myself on PTSD, and so my family now knows if I start talking about something that bothers me or my high anxiety, if my legs start shaking, that's a sign we need to either slow down on the conversation or we need to. I've never had anxiety before this. Never.
Oh, geez.
So the nightmares and stuff that I had, they had me on such high doses of ketamine.
Right.
Because I have a variant that people don't survive. It's called Amsan variant.
Oh, okay.
And there's like, if you think of Yambare as a tree, Yambare is the tree, and then it has these roots.
Yeah.
And there's two kinds that people don't survive.
Okay.
And I have one of them.
Oh.
Okay.
Geez.
And hence why I died twice. The second time I died, I had a collapsed lung and 2 heart attacks. And that's when they put me in the medically induced coma for a week. They actually tried to pull me off after 2 days, and they told my mom to come say goodbye because they were pulling me off of everything, and I was going to be let go.
Jesus.
Because they don't leave you on ECMO. They didn't at the time leave you on ECMO longer than 2 days. But the ER doctor who was going to pull me off said he saw a fight in me.
Yeah.
When he went to pull the tube, when he went to pull everything. And so he asked if he could leave me on 5 more days. And he's the reason, my parents are the reason I'm still here.
Good. That's so good. That's real good.
So it's just, you've got to embrace what you have. Because how do you expect anybody else to have empathy, sympathy, any of that stuff for you when you can't embrace it yourself?
Yes.
Don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't enjoy the life you have while you have it.
Yes.
Because it can be taken at the blink of an eye. I died the first time within 14 hours of onset of symptoms. And it usually takes months. So
love yourself.
Yes, you have to. I couldn't express it any better. You have to love yourself. And that's what I'm doing now is loving myself, loving my kids. I even love this disease so much that I've had it tattooed all over my body to remind me and everybody else that I have it.
Yeah.
So, and then this is my son's idea. This is the Wonder Woman with the Guillain-Barré ribbon.
Okay.
So, because he used to look at Wonder Woman and say, "Mommy, that's you."
That's
he was like 3.
That's right. So, you better come on, baby boy.
So I gotta live his truth too. Yeah. So he's my hero and I'm his hero. Alex has just been a blessing, even though sometimes
they all.
The first one's a blessing. The second one's the karma. That's what it is. That's my karma for all the bad I did wrong. But yeah, just love yourself.
Man, you're such a walking testimony, and I'm just so glad that you're still yet in the land of the living.
Yes, me too.
And I just, to me, I thank God for that. And you're you're a beautiful person, a great friend, also. So I love you dearly. Being a part of your journey and seeing some of the things that you came out of. You're such a survivor. And at Black Sheep, that's why it's very important that we embrace who we are. We love ourselves. It's all right if we're a little different. We still have a purpose in life.
Little different.
We still have a purpose in life. God still loves us. And so we just have to encourage one another to push and get through. We have so much life and so much love to give here on the earth. So that's very important, guys. Absolutely. So if you don't learn nothing from today's session, is what? Love yourself.
Yes.
Please love yourself and love others, right? Support others, right? Encourage others, right? Because we need more of that in the earth.
Yes, we do.
We need more of that in the earth, in the land, guys. So thank you for being out here today. I appreciate you being here on Black Sheep on our platform. Make sure you let everybody know.
Oh, everybody here is gonna know.
Everybody stay tuned for our next podcast event. Not only that, guys, please follow us, like, share on TikTok, IG, Facebook, YouTube. We're everywhere, right? Like, subscribe, comment. Let's go. Let's get active. Let's talk to each other. Let's support one another. Let's love one another. That's what we're put on this earth to do more of. And it's okay just being a black sheep. And just always remember, the things that you are silent about are the things I want to talk about.
That's right.
I love you.